The child welfare system has a profound impact on the lives of countless families across the state. At its core, the Arkansas Division of Children and Family Services, or DCFS, is dedicated to protecting our most vulnerable children. Their mission is clear: to ensure safety, promote well-being, and support family reunification whenever possible. Historically, the child welfare system in Arkansas was founded on principles that prioritize child protection, family preservation, and the provision of foster care. These principles were established to create a safety net for children who find themselves in precarious situations, often due to circumstances beyond their control. However, the journey of this system has not been without its challenges. The evolution of Arkansas's child welfare system is marked by significant milestones, including the landmark Angela R. lawsuit. This case exposed systemic failures within the DCFS, highlighting issues such as inadequate resources, insufficient training, and a lack of support for caseworkers. The lawsuit served as a wake-up call, revealing the urgent need for reform and accountability in the system. Despite these efforts, persistent challenges remain. Resource limitations continue to plague the DCFS, making it difficult to provide the necessary support for families in crisis. High turnover rates among caseworkers exacerbate the situation, leading to a lack of continuity in care and support for the children and families who rely on these services. Budget constraints further complicate the landscape, often resulting in a reactive rather than proactive approach to child welfare. Personal stories from affected families paint a vivid picture of the struggles faced within this system. One mother shared how her family was torn apart due to misunderstandings and a lack of communication with caseworkers. She fought tirelessly to reunite with her children, navigating a complex web of bureaucracy that often felt overwhelming. Former employees of the DCFS have also spoken out, sharing their experiences of burnout and frustration as they tried to make a difference in the lives of children but were hindered by systemic limitations. These challenges have broader implications, not just for the families directly involved, but for our society as a whole. When children are not adequately protected or supported, the ripple effects can be felt for generations. It's a stark reminder that the welfare of our children is a collective responsibility, and we must advocate for a system that truly serves their best interests. As we reflect on the complexities of the Arkansas child welfare system, it's crucial to recognize the need for ongoing dialogue and reform. The stories of those affected remind us that behind every statistic is a child, a family, and a community yearning for support and understanding. In the heart of Arkansas, the financial structures within the Department of Children and Family Services are complex and, frankly, troubling. Funds are allocated to various programs, but the distribution often raises eyebrows. It's not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about the lives of children who depend on these services. Private contractors play a significant role in this system. They're often brought in to manage programs, but this reliance can create conflicts of interest. When profit motives overshadow child welfare, we have a problem. Whistleblowers have come forward, revealing a culture where financial gains are prioritized over the well-being of vulnerable children. Imagine being pressured to meet foster care and adoption targets, with bonuses tied to those metrics. It's a system that incentivizes quantity over quality, leaving the actual needs of children in the shadows. There have been alarming instances of financial mismanagement. Reports of unauthorized spending have surfaced, where funds meant for essential services are diverted to questionable purposes. This isn't just a matter of poor budgeting, it's a systemic issue that can have dire consequences. Financial experts have pointed out that these inefficiencies create an environment ripe for misuse. When funds are not allocated properly, essential services suffer, and the children who need support the most are left without it. Consider the implications of diverting funds from critical programs. When resources are funneled away from mental health services, educational support, and family reunification efforts, we're not just failing to support children, we're setting them up for a lifetime of challenges. The ripple effects of these financial decisions can be devastating, affecting not only the children in the system, but also their families and communities. Testimonies from former employees paint a grim picture. They describe a workplace where the focus is on financial targets rather than the welfare of children. The pressure to meet quotas can lead to decisions that compromise the integrity of the system. It's a troubling reality that raises questions about accountability and oversight. As we delve deeper into these issues, it becomes clear that the financial mismanagement within the Arkansas DCFS is not just a bureaucratic failure, it's a moral one. The stakes are high, and the consequences of these financial decisions extend far beyond the balance sheets. The welfare of children hangs in the balance, and it's time to shine a light on these practices that prioritize profit over people. The child welfare system is under scrutiny for its troubling patterns of civil rights violations, particularly impacting Black, Indigenous, and marginalized families. Data reveals a stark reality. Black children are removed from their homes at rates significantly higher than their white counterparts. In fact, recent statistics show that Black children are nearly 3 times more likely to be placed in foster care compared to white children. This disparity is not just a number. It represents real families torn apart, often for reasons that are deeply rooted in systemic inequities. Consider the case of a single mother from Little Rock who lost custody of her children due to allegations of neglect stemming from her struggle with housing instability. She was living in a motel, a situation many low-income families face, yet this was deemed sufficient grounds for declaring her unfit. The reality is that poverty and housing instability are frequently cited as reasons for intervention, but these issues are often symptoms of larger systemic failures, not indicators of parental unfitness. Extended foster care placements further illustrate this issue. Data shows that marginalized families are disproportionately affected, with many children remaining in the system longer than necessary. This not only disrupts their lives, but also perpetuates a cycle of instability and trauma. Families are left in limbo, fighting to reunite while navigating a system that often seems stacked against them. Personal testimonies from affected families reveal the emotional toll of these experiences. One mother recounted how her children were taken away after she sought help for her mental health struggles. Instead of receiving support, she faced judgment and separation from her kids. These stories are echoed by civil rights advocates who argue that the system often criminalizes poverty and mental health issues, rather than addressing the root causes. Legal cases highlight the systemic discrimination within the Arkansas child welfare system. In one notable case, a court found that the state had failed to provide adequate services to families of color, leading to unjust removals. Advocates argue that these violations not only breach civil rights, but also erode trust in the very system meant to protect children. The implications of these civil rights violations extend beyond individual families. Communities of color are left fractured, with a pervasive sense of mistrust towards institutions that should be safeguarding their children. The fight for justice is ongoing, and accountability is crucial. As we delve deeper into these issues, it becomes clear that reform is not just necessary, it is imperative for the future of countless families in Arkansas. The voices of those affected must be amplified, and systemic change must be pursued to ensure that every child has the right to a safe and loving home, regardless of their family's socioeconomic status or racial background. The child welfare system has been rocked by severe allegations of misconduct and abuse, raising urgent questions about the safety and well-being of vulnerable children. Reports have surfaced detailing wrongful removals, where children were taken from their families without just cause, often based on falsified records or unsubstantiated claims. One of the most alarming cases is that of Angela R., a young girl whose life was turned upside down due to these systemic failures. Angela was removed from her home under dubious circumstances, and her story is just one of many that highlight the deep-rooted issues within the system. In residential facilities meant to provide care, children have faced mistreatment that is nothing short of shocking. Whistleblowers have come forward, revealing abusive practices that include physical punishment and neglect. These accounts paint a grim picture of a system that is supposed to protect but instead perpetuates harm. The impact on affected families is devastating. Parents who have had their children wrongfully taken away experience profound emotional trauma, often feeling powerless in the face of a system that seems indifferent to their plight. Lawyers and child advocates have been vocal about the need for reform. They argue that the current policies are not just flawed, they're failing the very children they are meant to serve. During Senate hearings, testimonies from affected families revealed the heartbreaking consequences of these abuses. One mother recounted how her child was placed in a facility where he was subjected to verbal and physical abuse, a nightmare that no child should endure. The emotional scars left on these children can last a lifetime, affecting their mental health and future relationships. Data from various counties in Arkansas shows a troubling pattern of misconduct. Investigations have uncovered numerous instances where case files were manipulated and critical information was omitted, leading to unjust outcomes for families. The sheer volume of these cases has eroded public trust in the child welfare system. People are left wondering, if the system can fail so spectacularly in Arkansas, what does that say about its ability to protect children elsewhere? The need for systemic policy reform is clear. Advocates are calling for greater transparency, accountability, and oversight to ensure that children are treated with the dignity and respect they deserve. The voices of affected families, lawyers, and whistleblowers must be amplified to drive change. It's time to confront these issues head-on and demand a child welfare system that prioritizes the safety and well-being of every child. Misconduct and abuse in the child welfare system have eroded public trust. But how does Arkansas compare to other states facing similar challenges? Arkansas's child welfare challenges are not isolated. They reflect a broader national crisis affecting countless states across the country. In Arkansas, the rising number of children entering the foster care system is alarming. In 2022, nearly 4,000 children were removed from their homes, a staggering increase that mirrors trends in states like Texas and California, where systemic issues have led to similar spikes in removal rates. The root of these challenges often lies in funding disparities. For instance, while Arkansas allocates approximately $6,000 per child in foster care, states like New York spend over $15,000. This discrepancy severely limits resources for prevention and support services, leaving families without the help they desperately need. In Michigan, a lack of funding has resulted in caseworkers handling caseloads that exceed 30 children, making it nearly impossible to provide adequate attention to each case. Systemic corruption also plays a role in these challenges. Reports from states like Ohio have uncovered instances of mismanagement and unethical practices within child welfare agencies, undermining public trust and the effectiveness of the system. These issues are not just administrative. They have real consequences for children and families, often leading to unnecessary separations and prolonged trauma. Despite these daunting challenges, there are common patterns and unique aspects across different states. For example, while many states struggle with high removal rates, others, like Vermont, have focused on innovative prevention strategies that prioritize family preservation. This approach has led to a significant decrease in foster care placements, showcasing that change is possible. Federal oversight plays a crucial role in addressing these systemic issues. The Administration for Children and Families has implemented initiatives aimed at improving child welfare systems nationwide. National advocacy organizations, such as the Children's Defense Fund, are pushing for reforms that emphasize accountability and transparency. They advocate for policies that ensure families receive the support they need before reaching the crisis point of removal. Perspectives from national child welfare experts highlight the urgent need for systemic improvement. Experts agree that comprehensive reform must include increased funding, better training for caseworkers, and a focus on community-based services. Policymakers are beginning to recognize that investing in prevention is not just cost-effective, it's essential for the well-being of children and families. In states like California, innovative reform initiatives have been proposed, such as the Family First Prevention Services Act, which aims to keep families together by providing resources for mental health and substance abuse treatment. These initiatives serve as a model for Arkansas and other states grappling with similar issues. As we delve deeper into Arkansas's child welfare system, it's clear that while the challenges are significant, the path toward accountability and reform is being paved by dedicated advocates and policymakers. By learning from the experiences of other states and implementing proven strategies, we can work towards a future where every child has the opportunity to thrive in a safe and loving environment. Change is not just possible, it is imperative.